Hey guys, new Ramble here from Agent of Doubt. In keeping with the trend on my channel of not talking about popular things and instead just whatever the fuck is on my mind, today I'm going to bring you something about homelessness and criminalizing things that usually you would take for granted as being like biological imperatives, you know? So, also I want to talk about groups that hide their true intention when they're trying to drum up support from the public. Basically, very dishonest groups, dishonest from the get-go to the point where they name their group pretty much the opposite of what it actually is in order to confuse people. Now, I've talked about this before with the groups that were trying to get setbacks for fracking away from things like schools and places where people live, stuff like that. And now we've got people shocked and horrified in Colorado that, there's fracking pads being set up right next to schools, and people take videos of it as they're constructing them, and they're like, look, there it is, and there's the school. How is this happening? Well, we fucking voted on it, and you didn't fucking vote for the setbacks. So, here we are. But it's a trend that I've seen in politics where you could have, say, a pro-choice group and an anti-abortion group, right? On the topic of abortion, right? You got the people who believe that abortion should still be a right and those who believe that it should be criminal. The anti-abortion group might name themselves something like Our Choice, right? And this is just a fictitious example, but there's plenty of them out there that you can find. Even to the point of where there are religiously subsidized health clinics that pop up in different cities with names that have the word choice in them, or like higher choice, or whatever. They will try to name themselves to confuse people who are actually of the other bent, who think from the other side of the fence, and they're trying to intentionally, from day one, when they envision what their company is going to do, or whatever their activism group is going to do, they name their company the opposite thing. So, story time. I was filming the Martin Luther King Jr. Parade here in Denver. It's half march, half parade, right? And I posted all of the footage of the speeches that happened here on YouTube. And while I was walking away from the parade, I kept my camera on, kept it on the tripod, and just, tried to get a real sense of how many people were there for people, like, in case there's internet archaeologists who want to see just, like, how freaking big these movements are. To me, my channel is part of, like, a time capsule for the future, right? Well, after I turned off my camera and I was going to the high school where I parked my car, which it was free. I was expecting some like booster club for some sports team to be like renting out the spaces for a couple bucks, but it was free. I guess the city had planned on how many people were going to be there, and I got to my parking lot where I had parked, and there was a guy handing out flyers. And I expected the flyers to be something that were more left leaning. All of the people who went to speak at the MLK parade, they were all Democrats or of the left, of the kind of activism that you would expect on the left. The only one activism that I pulled out of all of those speeches and posted on its own was a guy who was talking about for-profit prisons, and his speech was just awesome. I felt like it stood alone. But there were other things that were historically probably relevant, and archaeologists from the internet 100 years from now will probably be like, wow, he caught that. Such as former Mayor Wellington Webb's speech containing the idea that we use money from pot taxes to subsidize more things for school. And the reaction from the crowd was very lukewarm to that. You could hear this like why are we even dealing with pot anymore, or like, hey, quit raising the prices of my pot. I don't know what they were thinking, but there was this lukewarmness to the crowd, and that lukewarmness was captured on my video in a way that most mainstream media outlets would not think was relevant. But to me, that was the one issue that it seemed like the crowd was not with the speaker, But that being said, this flyer that a guy handed me on my way to my truck, it also was not with the theme of the parade. It was trying to co-opt the fact that there's a large crowd there every year, and they knew it. So why not go and try to spread our message? Now, the group's name is Together Denver, and they wanted people to vote no on Initiative 300, right? So they say vote no on Initiative 300 in May. Stay informed. Share all of this for Together Denver, yada yada. They got a Facebook page if you want to check it out. But their stances are, they want to prohibit Denver from enforcing essential laws that protect. They say that Initiative 300 will prohibit Denver from enforcing essential laws that protect public safety. They're using like double, triple negatives all through this to like flip your mind around. They say Initiative 300 will allow people to occupy all outdoor public spaces, including parks and sidewalks, indefinitely. It will eliminate all park curfews. It will include parking/living in cars. And it will allow for unfettered distribution of food in public spaces. It goes on to say, in big, bold blue right here, this will endanger public safety, quality of life, and the economic vitality of our neighborhoods and our city. And this impacts all of Denver. It's not just a downtown problem. If passed, this ordinance would apply to all of Denver's beloved public outdoor spaces. People would be able to sleep, camp, and live in residential areas, on sidewalks and alleys around homes, parks, trails, open spaces, and rivers, like they don't already, but including Denver's major urban parks like Washington Park, City Park, and Sloan's Lake. They're already there. Our mountain parks, including Red Rocks. No, they're not. They're not all the way out there. And I'll tell you why the homeless aren't all the way out there. It's because, well, it's not near services that they would need, like soup kitchens. There's Red Rocks is way out past Morrison. You don't see homelessness out there in droves. You might see campers that are camping in the wrong spot, but those are like people who actually have a home, who are just camping because people like to camp in strange places in Colorado. They would be able to be out in the open in neighborhood business districts. The small commercial districts throughout Denver neighborhoods that are home to locally owned coffee shops, restaurants, and retailers. You can actually see this on Colfax right now, where a lot of businesses have installed anti-homelessness spikes in the cement so that people can't sleep there. You know, that's how bad some of the areas have gotten. Cultural and sports facilities, including spaces outside of the zoo, the Children's Museum, Museum of Nature and Science, Art Museum, Denver Center, Mile High Stadium, and the Pepsi Center. No, Mile High Stadium and the Pepsi Center, I'm pretty sure, would use their private security to remove any homeless people fairly easily. They don't have that problem because it's not a public space, it's privately owned. They're also surrounded by parking lots, so there's a really easy area to patrol to make sure that people don't cross that barrier into their private land. Downtown, our central business district where thousands of Coloradans live, work, and play, and a destination for visitors from around the country and the world. It says, doing better by our homeless neighbors. Initiative 300 is not the answer. Allowing people to sleep outside in public places is not safe, healthy, or helpful for the people experiencing homelessness or the broader community. Denver is a community where all people can thrive, not just survive. And I think that's awesome, except for that it's really a masked right-wing position that this Together Denver flyer is putting out. And if those same right-wing people were asked to, say, raise their own taxes in order to fund another homeless shelter, or transitional living for homeless to help get them back on their feet, are they going to vote for that? No, they aren't. Okay? So, on the flip side of that, I got an email this week from a different group whose name actually reflects who they actually are. And I printed it out. This is Coalition for the Homeless, right? And they sent out an email about House Bill 19-1204, which is very similar. And they say, existing in the public space is not a criminal act. Coalition for the Homeless is committed to defending the rights of unhoused Coloradans, and to that end opposes House Bill 19-1204. Prohibit camping environmentally sensitive areas. Join us in the fight to stop this harmful bill. Looks like Misty's home. Dogs go crazy for that. House Bill 19-1204 would implement a statewide camping ban by prohibiting the following life-sustaining activities: lying down or sleeping, covering or protecting oneself from the elements with anything other than clothing, for example, a blanket or a cardboard or a sleeping bag, using any heat source or cooking device, and keeping and protecting personal property. We believe existing in the public space is not a criminal act. Camping is a consequence of too few policies and resources helping people attain and maintain housing stability. We, like you, love our public lands, but this bill is so vaguely defined for environmentally sensitive areas that it would allow for nearly any public space to be deemed sensitive. This would open the floodgates of opportunity to perpetuate NIMBYism, if you don't know, that's not in my backyard, ism, in our communities, which targets and often criminalizes people who are camping due to homelessness. Please write your legislators today to oppose this bill. We must do more to create resources and opportunities for housing stability rather than punish those who are unhoused. Two different positions, right? Same general laws being proposed everywhere. Basically, we need to make people illegal if they are homeless, so that way we can arrest them and take them away from public spaces. And I feel it myself, that thought that here we have a publicly paid for place. In my case, it's the Greek Theater at Civic Center Park, right across from the state capitol. I'd love to be able to stroll through there or film lower level activism where there's maybe 20 people, and maybe it's a good cause, maybe it's just something I find amusing, but I love sharing these videos with you guys. But I'm not taking my more expensive cameras to Civic Center Park without knowing that there's going to be thousands of people there that are there to enjoy the activism. Something like the Women's March, or, when there's been giant anti-Trump rallies, then I'll take my expensive cameras there. But if there's only going to be 10 people that I'm filming, and the rest of the park is left, without a presence, it's filled with some very scary elements that might just rip off my camera right off my hands. And then, there's not going to be anything I'll be able to do with it. I'll just be out of camera. They know where they can pawn it to get some money. And it's, my answer to that is not, let's make it illegal for those homeless people to be there. My answer to this is, let's start up some more shelters, some more transitional housing, give more services, start doing more in-community social work, send some people out there to lead people, entice people to go use those services. That's what we need, right? More mental health care, And when I look at the Together to Denver's flyer, they're not suggesting any of that at the end. All they're suggesting is, let's make it illegal for them to do that. But some of the things that they would like to make illegal are as simple as falling asleep in a park. Fall asleep in a park, you get arrested. I'm like, if you have nowhere else to go, and you just happen to fall asleep, it's a biological thing. Sleep is needed biologically. You need at least 4 hours of sleep a night, but, you'd like to get 8. But if you don't go with sleep for a very long time, you will fall asleep somewhere. And making that illegal is just shitty. It's shitty people who know that they're shitty, and then they name their group something, like Together for Denver. This is all of us together. Even the people who are experiencing the homeless, they're together with it. No, you're not together with them. Fucking bullshit. And from the get-go, this group wants to be deceptive in the way that they market their solutions for the problem, because no, they don't want to have taxes raised. They don't want to actually provide services to these people. They just want to lock them up. That's it for this ramble. I'm going to eat my dinner.